Alrighty, let's talk about Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Um, Before we really begin, I just want to kind of go over what we gamers call the Ubisoft formula these days. Now, Ubisoft is the game developer that makes these games. They're mostly known for like the Assassin's Creed franchise. They're known for the Far Cry franchise. They make some other small games like Uno, Wheel of Fortune, Jeopardy. They make quite a few family-friendly games. Like I think they do Just Dance, maybe. Then on the Switch, they have a pretty cool little successful brand with Mario and Rabbids. They're also known for like the Tom Clancy games. Rainbow Six Siege is huge. Ghost Recon Breakpoint's pretty dang fun. It wasn't the best at launch, but they've done a lot of good things to keep it, to give people what they want. And of course, the Watch Dogs series I'm looking forward to getting into. There's just so much, but this spring I played Assassin's Creed Origins and had a blast playing it. It took me a while to really get into it, just because it was the first Assassin's Creed game I owned was Origins. Back in 2018, I bought an Xbox One X and it came with a copy of it. And when I fired that game up, I was blown away. And I dug it. I was like, I can dig this kind of game. But there were some other games I was wanting to play first, so it just kind of got put on the back burner for a while. But earlier this year, I got to finishing it. I really like the story they have going on outside of ancient Egypt. Because, the way Assassin's Creed series works is that it takes place both in modern day as well as whatever time period the game covers. Because basically what you're doing is a lot like the Matrix. You go in this machine called the Animus. And for centuries, Templars and Assassins have been at each other's throats, and the past Assassin's Creeds did a great job covering this, especially Assassin's Creed 1. And basically, you're in the Animus, and you're trying to find out the information about the past to help you in the future. And so, like, you're a modern-day character. Sometimes, the mission kind of breaks, and you jump out and play as Layla Hassan. And Assassin's Creed Origins, Odyssey, and Valhalla, which I like to call Van Halen. So if you hear me say Van Halen, I'm talking about Assassin's Creed Valhalla, okay? So those three games are pretty much a trilogy in themselves. Granted, you can play them independent of each other, but they are connected in that upper level. So it's always good to kind of go by release order. And it was Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Holy crap. I played it mostly on the Xbox Series S, and that's going to be the footage you're watching down there. And it was, and the game footage you're watching is like after I've done a lot of the main stuff. I kind of went and did some of the DLC that I just didn't have time to finish. But I'll just kind of tell you about my game experience and what I thought about it. A lot of people online, I've seen comments just browsing Reddit. They mentioned that if you ever play Odyssey, play as Cassandra, the female protagonist. Because, number one, they said her voice lines were a lot better. And number two, they kind of consider her the canon protagonist. Because you'll see her in Assassin's Creed Van Halen as well. So, she was a very good character. She was my favorite so far. My favorite Assassin's Creed character to play. I was just hooked. The way I played the game, the first 3 or 4 areas, I did everything on the map. Every nook and cranny, every single icon, I did it. Eventually it got to where I was like, by the time I did no, I'm lying to you guys, it was like the first 5 or 6 areas. By the time I did that, I quickly realized I was almost already level 40, and the original level cap of the game was 50 before the expansions. So I decided, okay, it's kind of time I started doing like the main story all the way through, and that's what I did. I pretty much did all the quests and went through the main story, and I really like how it is. Basically, without really giving anything away, the main story is about reuniting with your family after all the drama and making an impact on the world. And then after the main story, the next thing I did, there's this cult operating within ancient Greek society called the Cult of Cosmos, and I love what they did. Some of you guys that are comic fans will kind of be familiar with the Court of Owls. They operate a lot like them, and there's like this menu in the game, and as you play through the game, you go through different cultists. You got to kill this cultist to learn information about this higher ranking one, and then you got to kill all these lieutenants and find out who the main cult leader is. And I pretty much went around hunting cultists for like a week, and it was cool. I won't give away the main one, but I kind of figured this person out about halfway through. I just kind of noticed, I was like, this person was a main character and this person has kind of disappeared. Whatever happened to this person? I'm not even trying to give away gender. So eventually I was like, oh, they were the leader. Makes sense. But it's not black and white. You kind of understand their intentions, and kind of sort of agreed with them. I'm trying not to say their gender, give it away. Anyway, so after I dealt with the Cult of Cosmos, I started doing the first DLC, which is like Legacy of the Hidden Blade, or the Hidden Blade, yeah. Oh, I should say this. The edition of Assassin's Creed I played was the Assassin's Creed Ultimate Edition. I bought it for like $23 on the summer sale on Xbox. It comes with Assassin's Creed Odyssey, the 2 expansions, some other cosmetic content you can get, like a couple of different outfits, a horse skin, stuff like that. And it also comes with a copy of Assassin's Creed 3 Remastered. So I'll be digging that eventually because I kind of want to go through the older games too. I've played Assassin's Creed 1 this past winter, and so I think after Van Halen, I'm going to go back and probably play the Ezio trilogy and then go on to 3. But anyway, this neither here or there. I really like Legacy of Hidden Blade. So basically what that DLC did, it kind of took you around the map that already existed. And it was basically connected the hero to the assassins. You met like one of the first original assassins that killed Xerxes, the Persian leader, and at least in the game. Now this is the game's lore, inspired by actual history, but it's not actual history. And speaking of that though, it was pretty cool learning the main character's origins, like her family, who she's related to, who her father was, and the whole legacy of everything. And basically, what I did like about the first DLC, kind of going back on that, I don't have my notes or anything, before I get sidetracked, is I really like how the first DLC story went. Basically, the protagonist, she settles down, starts a family of her own. Basically her father-in-law is like one of the first assassins, and basically she has a son, and not the hidden ones, but the Order of the Ancients, which are like the Templars, they were operating out of Persia, and they pretty much take the baby, and so like the latter half of that DLC, you're on a mission to get the baby back, but then they kind of realize at the end, it's just not safe with them both together. They'll always be pursued. So she lets the baby go with its grandfather, and then they go on to Egypt, and here's how it all connects. So her son grows up in Egypt, has kin of his own, children and stuff, and eventually his direct descendant is Aya, who is the wife to the protagonist in Assassin's Creed Origins, Bayek. That's how all that ties together, because Assassin's Creed Odyssey takes place before Origins, timeline speaking. So it was pretty cool seeing how all that connected. And then the second DLC was The Fate of Atlantis. Now this is a DLC you're watching me play, and I just struggled to get into it. Now what I did though, wherever I stopped, I went online and watched the videos just to kind of see how it all played out while I was working one day. It was just... At that point in the game, I was getting a bit burnt out. Of course, you know these Ubisoft games can be a bit of a slog the further and further they go, and I don't know. It was just extra content. Basically, your character is holding the staff of Hermes, and is it Hermes? Yeah, it's Hermes. And basically, in order to strengthen the staff, she has to run through these simulations made by the first civilization. And so the first simulation she goes through is Elysium. And now, Elysium is the most beautiful part of the game, but it was just such a chore getting through it. And then the second area was a bit better. That's kind of where I just kind of lost interest, though, where you go to the underworld and you got to deal with Hades and all that stuff. And then the third area was Atlantis, and it was pretty cool. Not gonna lie, it was pretty cool just watching it on video, but I just had no interest to play through it. So I kind of saved it thinking, maybe I'll record it for footage. I don't even know what I'm recording yet. So whatever I'm recording, you'll see down there. But anyway, it was okay. It was just, it didn't really tie to like the, I mean, it was more just bonus content. Now, granted, at the time of purchase, when it's new and shiny, you get your bang for your buck for these DLCs. They probably cost a good $20-$30 alone. Especially Fate of Atlantis. I feel like you got your money's worth. But just for me, and as much of the game as I've played, and just kind of where I'm at, I was just like, I'm just ready to get done with it. And so, I still have a few other quests I can do, but, in fact, I might actually show you, like, some of the bonus quests so you can kind of see, like, travel by sea, travel by foot, just kind of how all that works. Anyway, the other thing I did on there is, there's this final quest that they put out for free. It's like a series of quests that takes you to this little island. Basically, after the events of the game, your character decides she needs a break. She kind of wants to retire a little bit and get away from everybody. So she's on vacation for a few months, chilling on an island, drinking her ass off. I don't blame her. I mean, after all the events you go through on the game, why not? So what she's doing, she's relaxing there, and her two main friends come back and find her, and they basically get her back in the fray. And once they kind of revitalized her passion to go, on an adventure, I guess one of the things you find out in the story is that she's immortal. So what they're setting up is her arriving in Assassin's Creed Van Halen, because she shows up in that game too, and they're just trying to tie those two games together. So I thought it was pretty neat watching that cutscene, and it pretty much wanted me to install the next one right away, just to kind of see how this all plays out. But Assassin's Creed Odyssey I thought was Origins, but done better. Origins it was a great foundation, a great 8 out of 10 itself, but Odyssey, my goodness, did everything Origins did a little better. So like it's more 8.5, because traveling the sea was such a blast. The abilities, the combat I felt was better, because you had these abilities you can use, and kind of depending on your situation and kind of what you're running into, you could assign different abilities, and they just kind of cut down a lot of the redundancy from Origins. The one thing they added that I did not like, and this is probably my chief complaint about the game, is the mercenary system. I get what they were going for in some of these other open world games, like like the Rockstar games is the best example. You know how like on Grand Theft Auto and Red Dead 2, you do some crimes, you do stuff you're not supposed to. You get a wanted level. And of course, the more stars you get, the more intense it gets. Assassin's Creed is like that too with the mercenaries. And there's like a tiered list you can go up, and I got to number 1 until I realized in the DLC there's like S1, S2, S3. I was like, oh, forget this. But it's not bad. Like even a lot of times in the game, I'd have like a wanted level of 2, and I could handle the mercenaries. Basically, they're these tougher enemies. You can tell they're clearly designed for 1 versus 1 confrontation, and I don't know. after a while, you're in a big fortress just making your way through. Your wanted level goes up to 3 plus. You've got like mercenary after mercenary after mercenary on you. Sometimes you're fighting 2 or 3 at a time. It just got a bit ridiculous. And I, I don't know. I get the idea. I think it was one of those ideas that was better on paper than it was in the game. But that's pretty much the only real negative I had about it. Now, the thing about the Ubisoft open world formula in their games is that I've always said if you're just a casual gamer, and especially if you're really on a budget, I really think the Ubisoft games are your best bang for your buck. It's casual enough to where you can just go on this big 100-hour adventure and still have stuff to do. And a lot of times these Ubisoft games go on sale really quick after they release. So let's say a game comes out in the summer. Shoot, by Black Friday, you can probably get it for 30, $40. And if nothing else, you can pay full price and get like all the bells and whistles that come with it. And they're great games. They run well. They look great. The mechanics are solid. The bugs aren't really there. They're real polished, and it's kind of a cookie cutter formula now. And I think Ubisoft gets a lot of grief just because we've seen it so much. But it's just a real good game to sit there and play and unwind and just enjoy yourself. You don't have to think too hard, and it's up there. Like I had Origins as one of my, I'd say like top 20 games. Shoot, I think Odyssey is Origins, but better in every single way. Some people might disagree, like because of story and whatever, and that's fine. But this is just my take on it. But it was fun playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey. And a lot of times, these three games are kind of like the black sheep of the Assassin's Creed uh, saga. But Valhalla is just too big. You never really hear any complaints about the content itself. It's big. And the same thing with Odyssey. You never really hear people complain too much about like the core gameplay and the mechanics. It's a really big world. Well, you got to remember, like when I was younger, you know, when I was a kid, like 12 or 13, I wanted a game I could play a long time. And these Ubisoft games, like 13-year-old Shane would have loved these games because that's why I would gravitate to games like Fallout and Oblivion so much when I was younger, because you could play them over and over and over and just keep on going, and you get your money's worth. Because I didn't have a job by then, and you know, when I was younger I was doing chores, and that was just to pay for like World of Warcraft and discount games. It wasn't really, I wasn't getting releases on day one, like maybe one or two a year. But and y'all know 10 years ago it was like the golden age. There were games coming out our butts left and right, just awesome game, awesome game, awesome game, one after another. But you know, other than that, it's a great game. You should play it. Origins, it's kind of like I said with Skyrim. The thing about these Assassin's Creed games, once you play one of them, you'll know real quick if you want to play more. And a lot of times what it takes to draw people in Assassin's Creed is the right setting. Like some of y'all watching this video might really enjoy ancient Greece more than ancient Egypt or the Viking era or Renaissance. Well, then go play Odyssey. Like for me, the first time I ever touched Assassin's Creed was when I played Assassin's Creed 3 at a friend's house, because it was like revolutionary America when we were those dirty colonials, and it was pretty fun. But that's all I got, guys. It was a great game. I hope you enjoyed the video. It's been real fun doing these little casual commentary videos, and I like to do more of them for you guys down the road. But just, hey, leave a comment, anything you want. Just, I'd appreciate it all. So next time, I'll see you. White Mojo Wolf signing out.
School! Yeah.